You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Another player that I think is fascinating is Ace Rowden, your signee that I believe will be here in January. He's a measurables guy. He's a speed guy. He's somebody that when he committed, UT, Texas came after him and everybody's offering him and coming after him, and he has stayed firm. And he's an East Texas boy with legit speed and legit size to go with it. And so it's just going to look much different here. And if you get any semblance of Quentin or Ace can help you immediately, and what a great name. I mean, what a great name than Ace Rowden. But it's like a Western or something like, hey, man, Ace Rowden's coming to town. Oh, man, look out. I better get out of town then. But this allows you to potentially move Adam Hill and Oliver Miles back to where it would help you. But the key point is you may get what we all would have liked to have had all year is Jacoby being allowed to be this Travis Hunter, this player that just can provide a variety of roles and juice to all of them and not have to put him in stressful situations where it's just like and then you could, theoretically you can start getting into 12 personnel a lot more or 22 personnel a lot more, depending on what you add via the portal and the tight end room, which essentially is one tight end, two backs, or two tight ends, two backs, and all those kinds of things. Because I think you've been semi-reluctant to do that right there just because the lack of depth and the lack of experience and all that stuff. So if you get some semblance of Quentin's past and he is similar to what, and all that, and Ace comes in and acclimates quickly, this could be one of the strengths of your entire football team. And
I'm glad you led there because I wanted to ask offensively, there's no way around it being probably the thing we'll feel the best about most of the offseason. I don't know what the portal is going to bring to the pass catchers or your QB room. I've got high hopes. I'm dreaming big for that as well, Chris. But this is going to be a much different offseason combo about this group compared to last, right? I think it'll be feeling like it's the tip of your offensive spear, so to speak.
Yeah, and the question will just be like, okay, what level is Quentin at right now? Like, is this 70% of him? Is he back to 100%? Is he better than he was before? I mean, because different guys come back from that stuff differently and quicker or later or sooner. You just don't know what it'll all look like. But that'll be the only question we have about it, really. And then how much realistically can Ace Rowden help you immediately? But he's going to be here, I think, the whole spring, and that is. And you'd have to think he's better than what Adam and Oliver have been, and maybe even Michael Henderson. So, because you were just you're kind of scrambling for some depth, you want some speed and athleticism, and it's just a bit of a tricky spot that you got put into here. Because we remember the name that we wondered about was you had a running back here last year that was dinged up and he never really acclimated, and then he's now no longer part of the program, and we wondered if you would go add a fourth running back in the late portal just to cover yourself because of exactly what we're talking about here, and you didn't go add that that fourth running back. So you've had to supplement from within.
Had to deal with obviously a derailment of your initial plans, but then you wind up with one of the most impactful seasons from your running back room that you've had in quite some time. I guess the other question I do have, Chris, and I don't know, this is, I think, maybe still the biggest question. There enough touches for these guys? There enough plays for these guys? There enough NIL running back dollars for these guys? Is everybody going to be able to slot in with a fair share of the pie? I mean, you've had two guys that went out and earned a lot of their pie. And I know Jacoby is not always, slotted only as a running back, but how do you work in, literally in the realm of however many offensive plays we're accustomed to, 3 guys that are pretty dynamic and probably like other running backs needing to really spend some time out there to get in a rhythm, get going.
First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app. So before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked on College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair question to ask aloud. I don't think there's any issues there at all. I'm not saying that there won't be any issues like this at certain spots or with certain people, but with what you're asking me here, I don't envision any sort of problem. And I certainly don't envision a problem about, man, I'm not getting enough touches and all that stuff. Because again, Jacoby doesn't need a ton to make his presence felt, and he can do a variety of other things. But and this, the beautiful thing is about Cam and Jacoby is their presence allows Quentin to come along at the pace that he needs to. It's not like, hey man, like this is not good. We got to have it right now. No, I mean, so it all could work very well from that standpoint. And Rowden can come in and like play his 4 games and redshirt or help right away if needed. And there's an injury or something like that. So you're just, again, best laid plans sometimes don't come true for you and don't come through like you want them to, but you would seemingly be in a pretty good spot going into next year in the backfield. And 2, I will be curious because I think they're linked. I will be curious what you'd add from a tight end standpoint in the portal, because you will will add either 1 or 2. We'll talk later in the week about that position. I think there's some things we probably need to discuss there about tight end in general. But yeah, I think what they bring in factors into the run game as well. It just does.
No doubt. Yeah, and I'd like to just look at some recent tight end additions. Maybe a picture of Jalen Conyers, picture of Terrence Carter. Just show them to the recruiting guys. Say, get more of these. I will take more of these wherever you can find them and however long they can stay. I think it's interesting to think about how quickly things can change from that running back hierarchy perspective, Chris, and it may not be so much of that internally. I don't know, but I know going into it, we talked a lot about like this order of Joyner, Dickey, and then Williams used in a variety of ways. And can't imagine, that remaining the same as soon as, say, Joyner is healthy again. And I know he's got that ramp-up timeline to consider as well, but these are guys with skins on the wall now that we're coming into another season with next year. And hopefully they're still set to collect their biggest skins in the biggest moments that are out there, man. But thank you, Jacoby Williams. Thank you, Cameron Dickey, and all others already mentioned and shouted out by Chris Level for contributing to this effort, because there was a lot of trepidation following the Joyner news. How could there not be? But, man, it's been fantastic and need a lot more of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I just I'm not trying. I just am hopeful that people get to see the real version of Quentin Joyner, like with what he potentially could have been, and you just don't know. And maybe that's not till July when we see it. Maybe it's not till October when we see it. But or maybe it's not till 2027. I don't know, but I just hope that there's a glimpse of that there, because if so, you're going to be a problem. And like the Cameron Valdez, who I was referring to earlier, he just never could stay healthy, and he just would never. And I remember 2 years ago, we were like, he's going to be a key player for you. He's behind Taj, and it's like going to be a key player. And then it's all of a sudden like Jacoby and Cam Dickey rolling here, and it's like Cameron Valdez just never got healthy, and he's just, I think, out of the sport totally. But that's how it happens. So anyway, but it's fun to talk about that spot. But man, Cam, 1,000 yards, anybody's taken that over the year. And like Jacoby, I mean, with what he's done, it's just he's one of the most exciting players in the Big 12 conference, regardless of position.
I'm saying the nation, man. I mean, seriously, you tell me where else you're finding a lot of guys that do what Jacoby Williams does. Literally, I think I said top 10 earlier, but he's number 11 nationally when it comes to all-purpose yards among Power 5. Power 4 producers. Sorry, Pac-12. Forget you're gone sometime. Chris, before we get out of here,